Now it's a recording. All right, now it's a recording. So basically today is a conclusion about the whole texture process. And this is the most important part of this entire project because for organizing the project, okay, it's important. If you did it wrong, your texture may not display correctly, and sometimes you may even lose your texture, okay? And if you don't export your FBX file properly, it can cause a headache when you bring your FBX file into other softwares. Okay, so we want to do it in a professional way, and we want to make it more properly. Okay, so here I have two links as a project files. You can download it later and for practice part. But for now, let's just watch back and sit back and watch me demonstrating here. Okay, so let's see. You get the model. Okay, you get your house model, and here I'm opening it. You finish the modeling it, right? And then, as we decided to texture it, what is the first step? Okay, so here I also included a file, a text file regarding the key steps. So first, you have to think about organize the hierarchy and the components of your model in the Outliner, depending on how you want to texture it. So when I'm saying how to texture it, I was talking about you need to think about how many materials you want to use, okay? And how many texture you want to use. So that actually connected to the step 4, okay? So step 4, let's say create a material texture for different parts depending on your needs. For example, if you have a glass object in the scene, so you may want to use a foam material or any material that is very glossy. And if you have a wood or stone object in the scene that doesn't reflect any light, then you should consider a number material. And if you have, for example, vehicle, it has a very kind of a shiny surface, or if you have like a metal object, and you should consider bling material or any other material that has a shiny surface. But for now, as we just started with the texturing, so we only touched on these three material. One is the foam, other are bling and lambert. So these three materials should cover all of your needs in the beginning stage. Okay, so that's the first step. Think about how many materials you're going to use depending on what property your object has. Does it reflect any lights or it does not reflect any lights at all? And second, you should think about, either create a material and a texture map for each component of your model. Here, let me make it bigger so you can see it better. So second rule, you should think about create a material and texture map for each component of your model, or you want to just use one material, one texture map for the whole model. Okay, so if you want to use one material, one texture map for each component of your model, you're gonna have a really high definition model. But the downside is you're gonna have a lot of files, right? Think about this house model. The window is one texture, one material, and one material, one texture. The texture usually has 4 different maps, right? Diffuse map, specularity map, normal map, and then so it basically one texture map times 4. And then roof, you're gonna have texture map times 4. Wall, you have 4 maps, and stone, you have 4 maps. So together, you're gonna have a 50 or even 100 texture maps. So there's a lot of texture maps. But the good side is you're gonna have really high definition model. Okay. However, in some cases, you want to limit the file size and the file numbers, right? So for this house model, see your customer only want 5 files. That includes first file is the model itself, then the rest of 4 files are the 4 different texture maps. Then you're going to create a material and 4 texture maps for the whole model. Okay, so here let me give you some example. So here I have a girl example folder. So take a look of here I have a screenshot. Okay, so this is a packed model. The texture was packed. Okay, so for all the different parts, the belly, the shirt, the pants, the hair, all are packed on one texture map. But take a look. How much space you get for the hair? It's just a small corner for the hair. So you won't have a lot detail for the hair. Okay. But the good side, take a look at the file organization. Technically, I only have 5 files because the MTL file is nothing. You can delete it. So OBJ file is a model, and then I have 4 different texture maps, right? So it's very organized, and your model, the file is small. Okay. But the downside, you don't have much resolution on the model. Okay. And you even cannot see, much detail on the face, on the textile of the shirt, right? Another way is you have a texture for each component. For example, the body, as you can see, I have 4 maps for the body. So that's one material just for the body. And one material and 4 texture maps for the pants. And one material and 4 different texture for the hair. So the good side is, take a look over the model. It's really high definition. You can see all of the detail on the clothes, on the skin, on the eyelash, and on the hair. Okay. But the downside is, see how many files you're gonna have. So that's a large model, large file. Okay. So again, since I just made a screenshot, when you compare it, it may not look that intense. The difference may not look that intense, but if you get the actual model, you will see the differences because see the hair, okay, the hair, it has the entire texture space just for the hair compared to the other method. You only have that small corner for the hair. So definitely the other method gonna have a high definition texture. Okay, so that basically explain you the second rule of think about how many material and texture you're going to use for your model. Okay, then that bring you back to the first step. So organize the hierarchy and components of your model. Should you just use one material and one texture map for the whole model? If you want to go that way, you need to make sure your the UV of all the different parts doesn't conflict. Okay, so here I'm gonna make a duplication. And I'm gonna hide the old one. And this one I'm gonna say house one texture map. Okay, so this is gonna be one texture map. And because it's gonna be one texture map for the entire thing, so what I'm going to do usually is I'm going to go to its UV. I'm gonna go to its UV map actually. So here's the UV editor. Okay, see right now the UVs are overlapped with each other. So if I just drop a texture map here, it's gonna spill out. To all the different parts of the model. So that's incorrect. So we're gonna select the whole thing and go to the UV, select all of them, and then lay out it. Okay, so this is gonna make sure each part of the model will be at a different location on the texture map. Okay, so their textures will not overlap, it will not repeat. So the wall is the wall, this is the front, and this is the side. This is the front, this is the back, and and this is the roof. So you can drop texture on different parts. Okay, so it is that. And also, since you are assigned the same texture on the entire thing, you can combine this into one single object. Okay, so that's to see, I can select the whole thing in object mode, and go to mesh and combine it. So it's gonna be one mesh. And I'm going to freeze this transformation and delete its history. Okay, see all of these history nodes still remain there, and then I can just manually delete that and put this rename this one. Okay, so here I'm gonna delete that other guy and rename this one as house one texture map. Okay, so because I'm gonna just use one texture map for the entire model, so I can combine it into one model. So that is basically the same as the first project. However, you need to make sure that this entire model only has one material because you are only using one texture map for it, right? So it doesn't make sense to have different material assigned to different location. So that's to see, you can create a new material, for example, number material or bling material. Okay, so I will start with a bling material or foam material. Okay, so bling material, and I'm gonna say house 1M. So that's the first house material. And then I'm gonna select the whole house and assign this material. Okay, as I assign it, you will see that your house is very glossy. Okay. So let me show you. If I create a light, create a point light, for example, and place it on top of it, and if I show how the light looks, see it's very glossy. Okay, and that's when the specularity map kicks in. So see, you have the roof that doesn't reflect any light. You have the fence that also doesn't reflect any light. Let me zoom out. Okay, hard to navigate because the resolution is not very high. Okay, so you also have the glass windows, right? So what you can do is for the part that has the glass window, see, I can locate it through here. So this is the glass window, right? So for all of the glass windows in the specularity map, I can mark it as a white color. So this material is going to reflect light on the window. Okay, and for the part that is the fence, for example, this fence, where I can just grab here, grab through here. Okay, so for the part that has the fence, for example, this, and then in the specularity map, I'm gonna mark it as a black color. So the fence doesn't reflect any light at all. Okay, so that's a specularity map. So instead of use a different material to control the glass and the wood, and one reflect light, one doesn't reflect light, here we are using texture map to control it. I use a single material but different texture map to control the reflectivity. Okay, and normal map, you're gonna assign for the whole thing to create the bumps, and texture map assign to the whole thing to create the texture. Okay, so that's the in the first scenario, they are going to have one material, one texture map for the whole model. What if you want to? Okay, so now let me hide this one and show the other one. So this is gonna be a house. Okay, let me rename it house. Multi-texture map. Okay, so this is gonna be multiple texture map and multiple materials. Multi material and texture maps. Okay, so in that scenario, you're gonna think about how many materials you're gonna use. As I explained earlier, the glass window, because it reflects a lot of light, so you're gonna be on one material, one texture map. And for the roof, I want a high definition texture for it, so maybe I want to use a high one texture map for it. Okay, then you're gonna organize it based on the materials you're gonna use. For example, the roof is gonna be on one material, one texture map, so it's a separate object. Okay, and the wall gonna be one texture map, one material, different material, so it's gonna be one object. Okay, and for all of the fence, see here, all of the fence, because it's gonna be one texture map, one material. So I just need to make sure that their UV doesn't overlap with each other, and probably I don't have to separate each individual fence. Instead, I can just group the whole fence group as one object. So here I'm going to select this whole group and combine it. So this is gonna be one object. So I'm gonna rename this one as fence, and the name is history. Okay, and bring it back. Oops, and bring it back into the house group. So the fence will be one material, right? And then let's take a look at the window. So I have a lot of window objects, okay? And it doesn't make any sense to keep them all separated, because all of the window frames gonna be one material. So the material gonna be window frame, okay? All of the glass will be one material, so that's gonna be the glass. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all of the window frames first. Okay, so here I can do this. I can just show the windows. Okay, so here I can select all of the window frames one by one, and then extract them. So these are the window frames. Okay, these are the window frames. So I'm going to combine them as one object. Combine them as one object, and I'm gonna rename it as window frames. Okay, because I know I'm gonna apply one material, one texture map for it. And then the rest would be the glass. Okay, the glass window. Okay, the glass is inside there. So as I know, it's gonna be one material, one texture map for it. So I'm gonna combine it. So here, let me hide the window frame first. Okay, so here the remaining stuff are the glass. So I'm going to also combine it into one object. All right, and I'm gonna rename it window glass. All right. And then next step, don't forget to select both of them and delete its history because it was a lot of objects. You just combine them together. Delete history, and then if their group is still remain with the history nodes, you can just select the groups and delete it. Okay, so here we go. And then let me show the entire model. So here we go. So now we got the window frames cleaned. So now it's the door. Okay, so now it's the door. So I'm going to take a look of the doors. So if I select all of them, and as you can see, the UVs overlapped. So that means each door, okay, each door has a different texture map. So I'm gonna keep them as a separated because for the door we have a lot of detail, right? So we have door handles and we have the door frames. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it as a separate pieces. So this is the hierarchy. So I think I'm done with it. So this is the hierarchy you're going to get based on your needs. Okay. So now for the stairs, oh, I think the stairs I can also combine as one instead of two separate objects. So here I can go to mesh and combine. So this is going to be stair. And they're going to rename it as a stair and delete its history. Okay. And bring it back into the group, back into the group. Okay. So now it's a simplified. As you can see, the hierarchy is a simplified. And each object has a different material as I know it. And then we're going to assign material and assign texture map, work on the texture map. But before we move that far, okay, we'll have to think about your project folder. Okay, so that's step two, second step. Okay, you need to create a project folder, have a professional project folder that has all the different subfolders like texture folders and the scenes folder. Okay, so here's how you're going to create it. Remember that whenever you do texturing, you have to create a project folder. So right now, the file is just saved like this. For example, if since I'm working on modeling, for example, I may save the file just as one single MA file on desktop or somewhere, like this. Okay, like this. Okay, because this is what we have done in the first project, right? But now, since we are working on texturing in the second project, what you're gonna do is first you go to File, and then go to Project Window. So this will allow you to create a project folder. See, it has all of the subfolders, and you have to set a destination where you want to create your project folder to. So here I'm gonna say, click on create a new project and find the location I want to put it onto desktop. Okay, I want to put it on the desktop and select. Okay, so this is gonna be desktop. And then what is the project's name? So here, let's say, I'm gonna say house texture project. Okay, remember the name? Remember the name. So this is the house texture project and click on accept. Okay, so now if I take a look at the desktop, this is a project folder is created. Say house texture project that I marked in blue color. It has all the subfolders. So this basically set up the project folder for us, but there's nothing inside there. First is the scene, right? Remember that we have saved the MA file somewhere else. Okay, what we can do is basically we just save it again by go to top menu file and save scene as. So now if you take a look at hierarchy, you're gonna go to desktop, go to our project folder, go to the scenes subfolder, which is here. Okay, you're gonna go here directly because now you knows that this is our project folder. Okay, so here we're gonna save our file here and save, and then it's gonna be saved into scenes folder. Okay, and then source images. So any textures you're gonna use for your project, it must be put in the source image folder. Otherwise, your project will not be able to locate it. Remember that. So source image folder will be the texture files. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do is because I already finish the texture. But if you are working on it yourself, creating texture one by one, and then for the finished texture, you're gonna store it in the source image folder and then assign it. Okay, so here, let me just copy all the texture files here so we can save time. So here are the files I just provided. So here I'm gonna just copy them and paste it here. All right, so now this is our project folder. It has our scene file in the scene subfolder, texture files in the source image folder. Okay, so now we're ready to assign material and texture to our model. So first is the roof. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the rendering editor, the hypershade, and I'm going to create a new material. So here, specifically, I'm going to, for the roof, it doesn't reflect any light. So I'm going to create a number material and I'm going to see roof M, okay? And then the color channel, click on this checker box, click on the file. You will notice that when you click on the folder, it's going to automatically direct you to the desktop house texture project, which is our project folder, right? Source image folder. See, now it recognizes your project and it knows exactly where your texture file is located. All you have to do is just plug in the texture. So in order to save time, I will only plug in the diffuse map and maybe normal map for one material. And for the rest, I will only plug in the diffuse map to save time. Okay, for the roof, so here's the diffuse map. Okay, and you can assign the diffuse map. Now you can assign your material onto the roof. And if it doesn't show up, just press the 6 key to display texture, 7 key to display texture and lights if you have lights in the scene. Okay, I'm gonna press the 6 key just to display the texture. Okay, so now for the roof, I also want to plug in the normal map since I already have it. So I'm gonna go to its bump map, normal map channel, click on this checker box as well, file texture, and click on the bump value because the normal map we're gonna use as a bump value. Where's the image name? As you click on that, it automatically node the texture. Okay, just open it, and then you should see bumps, right? And you can define the intensity of it. All right, so and then you're gonna do this one by one. For example, for the fence, okay, you're going to create another material. Say the fence doesn't reflect any light, so you're gonna also create a number material. I'm gonna say fence M, and then here's the color. I'm gonna plug in the texture image of the fence. See, it automatically node my texture. So depending on which one I want to use, maybe I'm gonna use the wood texture one. Okay, and then select the fence and assign the texture. So here we go. And then the wall, the same. So I'm gonna create one more. I'm gonna move to the next. Wait, maybe, let me see. Hold on. Let me see what texture I have. Yeah, wall, because some parts are gonna reflect lights. Okay, so in this scenario, I'm gonna create a different material. So for the wall, I'm gonna create a beam material. So beam material, it has the reflectivity, right? So I can use a specularity map to control where I want to reflect light. So here gonna be wall M, and then the color channel again, I'm gonna get to the wall diffuse map, and then select your material again, the wall material, go to its bump map channel and node the bump map, the diffuse the normal map, sorry. Normal map. Okay, and then I can assign the material to the wall. Okay, right now it doesn't look good because it reflects light everywhere. So we want to change that. So by go to the wall material, here's a specularity color. So here I'm gonna plug in the specularity map. So here's a specularity map. As I plug it in, see now it does not reflect light everywhere. It just reflect light at some particular areas. Okay. And as you can see, the bumps looks very strange. So usually is because when you assign the bump map, let me show you. There's a cello. Let me get in here. File, normal map. Actually, let me do it again. Bump mapping should give me an option. Hold on, let me create a new one. Bring material. I'm gonna say wall M2. Okay, for bump mapping, dropping a file texture. Yes, here I forgot to set one thing. So when you assign the bump map, so here use as I click on a bump, but instead, because we are using a normal map, so you just want to set to the right channel. So you want to use a tangent space normals. Okay, if you use that, and then load your normal map once again and assign it, you will see the difference. Okay, so now this is a new material. See, the normal map looks very natural. It's different than the previous one because the previous one, I didn't change the material's normal map option to normal. Instead, is I keep it as default as the bump. So again, as I explained in the beginning of the class, the bump map is just a black and white value. It doesn't provide that accurate result. So normal map, it has X, Y, Z, which is red, blue, green colors to represent X, Y, Z. So it has more accurate result. Okay, so remember to check that. Now I'm going to assign the texture map back again. So here's the diffuse map, and then go back to the material and assign the specularity map. Specularity map. Here we go. Specularity map. Okay, so now you should see that the wall looks very natural, and you can see that it only reflects lights at some particular part, right? And it will make it even better if I just do this. If I select the light, make a duplication, and show you in a lighting mode. So if I press this number 7, see, here's the bumps, and here's the lights reflectivity. You can see the reflectivity, the glossiness. Okay, so I will just move forward because it's a repeated stuff. For the window frame, you're gonna create a different material and assign different texture. For the glass, different material, maybe glossy material or clean material or foam material, which is glossy, and then assign it. Okay, so once you've done that, you're gonna select this whole folder. Okay, you're gonna select this whole folder and go to File, Export Selection, and export this as a FBX file. So the FBX file, you're gonna preserve all the materials you have used on the model, all the textures you used on the model. So it's ready for all of the uses. Okay, so you can put a name here. For example, here I'm gonna just put house multi uh material. Okay, remember the name. I put it here. House multi-material. Okay, so how to organize your file after you have been exported as an FBX file? Okay, you're gonna do this. You're gonna create a new folder and you're gonna say house material, house multi-material. You know, it's exact same name as your file name. And you're gonna drop the FBX file inside the folder. Why? Let me show you. So here I can also copy all of the textures I have used and go back to there, go back to the folder that has the FBX file and paste the texture to there. So basically, you're gonna have a folder, this whole folder that contains the FBX file you just exported. and all of the texture files you have used. And then you are good to bring this folder anywhere. For example, I can drop it to documents folder, or I can drop it to downloads folder. It doesn't matter. Just to make sure the FBX file stays with all of the texture files you have. Okay, so that's to see when later on when you open Unity, you can just drop this whole folder inside of Unity, and you're gonna display the model and the texture correctly. Since here I'm not loading Unity, so let me take the time to download it first, and then in the meantime while it's downloading, I can instruct the rest of the step. Okay, because the download Unity project takes some time. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it as a download in the background. So here we go. And okay, so that's this version, the house model that has multiple material texture maps, right? So what about the other one? So if I hide this one, what about the old one that only has one mesh? Okay, then that's fairly easy. You just create one material for it and assign one texture map for it, and then use the same way to export as FBX file. And again, you can also put let me get to where is it? Okay, you're gonna put the FBX file and all the texture files inside the one folder. So that's the same. Okay. Then here the step 5 is now as I started to work on the texture, right? As you can see that I haven't finished it. I only finished a portion of it. I haven't finished the floor. I haven't finished the door. What about I want to come back the next day? Trust me, next day when you come back, your computer may cause some headache for you because sometimes it may have done a update, okay, and it changed the file's location or it internally deleted the file. So you have to save your file somewhere, right? And the next time you bring it here, your computer will not recognize, okay, where's the project folder? So it doesn't know where the texture file's been saved to. So it will display your model like this. And you'll feel, oh my God, it's a disaster. It's the end of the world. I lost all the textures. But don't worry. It's just because the computer will not be able to find the textures. Okay, so let me show you the proper way to get it back. Okay, so first let me save this one, and then let me create a new scene. Okay, so let's see. Next day I come back. To the local computers, and this was my project, right? So I bring it this time. I bring it in the downloads folder, so it's in an entire different location. Okay, and I open my project again. See, even if I press number 5, number 6, number 7, it doesn't display texture at all because the file's location have been changed. And also take a look of the hypershade. For the hypershade, all of the material marked in black color. So that means it still has the texture plugged in, but it's just because the computer don't know where the texture file is located. So that's why it doesn't display textures. So to get it back, it's very simple. So I have write it in the notes as well. So if you move your project to a different location, you just have to load the project. So the way to load it is go to file and set project. So set project is set your current project to its original project folder's location. Okay, so here's to do it, how to do it. So go to top menu file and set project, and then select the file where it's located. New location is in downloads folder. Yes, here we go. So house texture project. So that's the folder. So you only need to select the root folder, not double click inside of any of the subfolders. Remember that. Just select its root folder, which is the house texture project folder, which is this one. Okay, the root folder, this one. Okay, select the root folder and set. Once it's set, you notice that your material immediately being updated. And if you press number 6 key, it should be updated. Sometimes it may not update immediately, and you can just go to a file and you can just command S to save your scene, and go back to the scenes folder and double click on the exact same file and open it again. So basically, you're gonna refresh it. As you refresh it, you're gonna load all of the textures properly. Okay, so that's when you're working on your model's texturing, you have to stop this today and come back another day, and you have to move your project to a different location. So that's how you can get your project folder set back correctly. Okay, and then let's see, next step step six. Actually, I already mentioned it. Export FBX file, right? So to export FBX file, if you have a lot of components in the model and different components are different material, you need to select this root folder and go to File Export Selection. Just remember that, and also use Export Selection. So if you do Export Selection, it will exclude all of the rest unused information. For example, the lights, we don't need that in the FBX file. So you're going to exclude all of those, and you're going to only export what you have selected. And one thing you have to keep in mind is for FBX file format, use FBX 2011. So that's an old version, but it's very stable. So always use a newer version because it's um like you are building a table. Okay, it it makes sense if you just use real wood instead of this the new kind of artificial wood board, right? The real wood is very reliable. The it's very stable, and also the quality is better. Okay, it doesn't matter today is 2024 or today is 2030. Okay, here, let me close it. Okay, it doesn't matter what year is that, and real wood is still the best. So it's the same like this. Even if it is the old version, it still has all the property there and it's very stable. So we use the old version. So export it, and then the next step is you're going to make a folder for the FBX file. I already mentioned this. So you're gonna make a folder. Here we go. You're gonna make a folder that contains the FBX file and all the texture files. So we're gonna drag this into Unity. Okay, so now let's move on to the Unity. But for organizing your file, for texturing your project, we are done. So this is basically the industry professional standard for how to properly organize the project. It's simple, right? As I do a overview of it, kind of a conclusion about it. Basically, the steps are here. It's very simple. So you just need to understand the whole story, understand the big map, and then you go to the detail to finish each individual steps. Okay, so now back to Unity. So first step, as I explained in the beginning, you're going to use the file I provided. For example, here I already updated, I posted the link here as well. So just use the files I provided here instead of create a new project. So here, let me load Unity Hub first. Let me search it here. Unity Hub. Let me load it first. Okay, so once you load the Unity Hub, it should give you an option to create a new project. Okay, so here I just assigned in. So Unity Hub by default, it gives you an option to create a new project, right? So I will not do that. If you create a new project, you have to import the character assets all manually, and the code is outdated, and you don't have the knowledge to write the code. So probably it's better to just use the file I provided because I already updated everything. Okay, so download this folder when you start your project. Okay, download this folder, and by default, the folder name is a standard assets imported. You're gonna just change the name convention. So you put your first name here and last name if you want. First name, last name, and then let's say project 2 or whatever you want to put after that. So this is your Unity project. Okay, then what you're going to do is go to the assets inside there, go to the scenes folder, and find the sample scenes. So we want to keep the sample scene as a backup. So it's a brand new scene, right? So here I'm gonna just hit Command D to make a duplication. So if you're using Windows computer, use Control D as duplication. So for a duplicate object, duplicate scene, I'm gonna rename it as SE01. So that's the first scene. And once you've done that, you can double click on the scene 01, double click on that, and you're going to refresh at here. So just wait for a few seconds. You're gonna load it here. Here we go. It's refreshing. Okay, so now you can see that you're gonna show up your project folder's name. So this is a Unity project folder. Keep in mind, the one tagged in the blue color was my Maya project folder. Now the one tagged in yellow is a Unity project folder. Okay, so the Unity project folder's name is showing here, but it pump up an error message. It says it's outdated. Yes, because the project folder I created, I was creating it in a newer version of Unity. So for the Unity installed on the computer is a more updated version. So you just need to click on here, switch from the old version of Unity that I used to create the template project and switch it to what you have installed on your computer, either on the NAP computer or on your own computer. So switch that. So see is current platform. Okay, so open with it. I'm gonna say change version, click on yes, change. And then you're gonna pump up another message. You're gonna just say continue. Okay, so you're gonna take 1 minute to set up because this is the first time you open it and it updates the code, update the version of Unity, blah, blah. So it takes us some time. But next time when you open it, you will revisit your Unity project, you're gonna be faster. Okay, so for the steps I just show you, I also included the screenshots in here in the files I provided. So if how's the example? Hold on. Oh, actually, I don't have a screenshot. But anyway, I have a recording here, so I just showed you how to properly note it. So just give it about 1 minute, and you're gonna note, and then I'm gonna show you how to properly import your model with the texture, and then you're done. You finish the whole workflow. Okay, so this is the project, right? The Unity project. So here we're going to create a new plan. So we have a ground plan, and I want to make it bigger maybe, so my character can walk on it. Okay. Then let's see under assets folder inside of Unity, or you can do it in the local folder as well. So this is a Unity project folder, right? Under assets, you can either create a new folder here, or you can create a folder inside of Unity. So here I'm gonna create a new folder, and I say new folder. I'm gonna say models. Okay, and go into the models folder. See, it also updated here on your logo folder. Okay, so inside of the models folder, you will just need to find the house model you just exported. For example, this folder, see, it has multiple materials, and it has a lot of textures, right? All you have to do is grab this entire folder into the models folder, and it may pop up an error message that says your normal map has been fixed. Just click on fix now. That's it. And then if you go inside of the folder, and then drop in the model, as you can see, the texture is already there. All right. Since I just finished a part of it, I haven't finished the floor, so the floor is grayed out, the window is grayed out. But take a look at the roof, the fence, and the wall. They are all there. Okay. And now let's see, I want to bring in my player. All right, so I'm gonna go to the standard assets, go to the characters, go to the first person characters, prefabs, and bring in my FPS controller. So here we go. So as you bring in the FPS controller, there's two things I want you to keep in mind. Otherwise, later on when you preview the game, you're gonna have an issue. First is you want to bring the player above the ground. See this castle? You want to bring it above the ground. Otherwise, you're gonna penetrating through the floor and gonna fall on the ground. Okay, that's the first step. Second step is, do you notice that the player has a camera? Yes, that camera basically represents the player's eyeball, so you will be able to see through this camera. However, inside of the scene, you have a default camera somewhere located in the center. See there? Located in the center. So basically, you're gonna have two cameras in the scene, so they're gonna conflict with each other. So you will have this happen. So when you start play the game, you will not be able to see anything because now the game is rendered from the default main camera. Okay, so that's to see you can either delete the original main camera, or you want to keep it in there maybe in the future for testing purpose, and you just disable it. Instead of enable it, you can also disable it. Okay, so as you disable it, now in the entire scene, I only have one camera, which is the player's eye. And now if I test play, see, the game is rendered from the player. Now I can take a look of the scale. So maybe the house need to be bigger. So now I have two more issue. One is the scale of the house. Second is I'm able to pass through the house. Okay, so now we need to assign a collider to the house. So our player will be able to collide with the house. But what is the proper way to assign? So if you just select this house group and add a component and add a mesh collider, it won't work. Okay, it will not work. Why? Because remember this house multi-material, what is that? Basically, if I switch back to Maya, it is the group I created for all the models. It's a group. So that means the group is empty, right? The group is just a placeholder. It's the model inside the group has vertices that has the contents. So that's to see if I assign a mesh collider onto the group, since the group is just a placeholder, it doesn't have any vertices. So what do you want it to collide? There's nothing, right? So that's to see instead of create a mesh collider onto the folder, you need to go inside of the folder and find all of the individual mesh. For example, the fence, the floor. Okay, you can select all of them at the same time. You can select all of them at the same time and add component mesh collider assign at the same time. So you're gonna assign mesh collider to all of the individual meshes. So you just select it. Keep in mind that here I just select the model, and for the door, because remember for the door is still a separate groups, right? So I haven't assigned the mesh collider on the door group. I have to again go inside of the door group and then select each individual elements inside of the door group and add mesh collider. So this is the door one and door B, add component mesh collider, and then door C, add component mesh collider. Okay, so by doing that, I assign mesh collider to all of the meshes. You remember it's on the mesh, it's not on the group. Okay, so now as you can see, I'm able to collide with the house. See, I can also step on it. Okay, so now I'm able to collide with the house. And next thing is, you notice that sometimes when I'm getting very close, this is not a good view. Maybe, okay. So sometimes when I'm getting very close to the wall, okay, it will be transparent. Okay. So for example, if I make the house a little bit bigger and make my player step backward, okay. Now another test. You will see this. When you're getting very close to it, and sometimes you can see through the wall, even though you cannot penetrate through it, but you can see through it. The reason is because if you go to the first person character, the camera, which is the first person character. So this camera, if you select it, so there's a setting, say clipping plane near is 0.3. So what does that mean? So basically 0.3 is a 30 centimeters. So it means that anything that is a 30 centimeters away from the camera, it will be transparent. It will be disappeared. So that means if I'm the player, I'm walk 30 centimeters away from an object, it's gonna be transparent to me. Is that real? Definitely is not real, right? So we have to change that number. We need to make a minimum number. So try 0.0001 and see how small it can get. Okay, the smallest number is 0.01 meter. Okay, so that is 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter is like this, is 1/3 of 1/3 of inch. Okay, 0.3 inch, where you can see. So it's like this. So anything that is that close to your player's eyeball, it can be transparent. So that's fine. All right. So that's setting, and then the house scale. So now let's compare the house scale. So always keep in mind that by default, your player's height is about 1.7 meters tall. Okay, 1.7 meters tall. So that's a standard human height. Okay, so that's about 5 5 feet 7 inches, around there, 5 feet 7 inches. Okay. So then you got a sense about how much what's the scale for the house. Definitely right now it's too big, right? So you can scale it down. Okay. And one thing here is never scale up and down your player. Instead, keep your player as the default scale. Otherwise, you're gonna have this. See, now I just scaled up my house, right? So my house, I just scaled up my player. So my player is huge. See, if my house is big, and here I just scaled up my player, and then if I play, you're gonna have this weird thing happen. See, as I'm walking, my player is kind of jumpy. See that? It's not realistic because the player is just supposed to be his original scale. If you are trying to scale it up, you're gonna make him to be a giant. As a giant, definitely when walk, it's not normal, right? So again, keep your player as the default scale, which is 1 by 1 by 1 XYZ. All you have to change is the scale of your model. Keep that in mind. All right, so now my house model is in the right size and I can play, okay? And I can enter through here, okay? Oh, I cannot open the door, but if you want your player to be able to get in there, just make sure before you export it through Maya, rotate the door so you have a gap open so you can enter it. But if you take my game design course, you will be able to open the door here in Unity. It's interactable. And you can also open the window. You can destroy the house where you can do a lot of stuff. But for all of you don't have any of the gaming background, you can just have the model with has a door open. Okay, so this is the house model. And for any of the other models you're gonna create, for example, if I download Unity template project models. Okay, if you download the model and script and texture from the next lesson, let me show you. If I import the files, how it gonna looks like. Okay, for example, I have another house. This is how I organize it. Say I have a folder for the cottage. This is the FBX file of the cottage, and this is a preview of it, and these are the texture maps. Okay, and here's a watchtower as well. This is the model, and here's the texture map. Okay, so I can simply just go back to assets and models folder and bring in the cottage and watchtower. You can select multiple of them, or you can just import one by one. See here, I import one, or I can import multiple folders at the same time. It doesn't matter, but just make sure each folder contains the FBX file with the textures. Okay, and then here inside of here, you can see that go into the cottage folder, and then you can bring the model. And because for the cottage model, I didn't export it correctly, though I have the texture and the model organized in the same folder, but I export them in a improper way. So that's why it lost the track on the texture. It's fine. Okay. So if you follow my instruction inside of this video, you will never have this issue. However, in any time, if you had this issue, all you have to do here is just in Unity, create a new material. For example, here, new material, cottage, M, okay? And then for this material, see, a battle channel basically is the diffuse map channel or texture map channel. You're gonna just assign diffuse map to the battle channel. And a normal map, just assign to the normal map channel. See, it's very straightforward, right, in Unity. And fix, if it says normal map has to be fixed, and just click on fix. So now I have this material. And then how to assign material to the model? Very simple. Just drag this material, drop it onto the model. That's it. Okay, quick and easy, right? Okay, the next topic I want to cover is the lighting. So right now we are using the default Unity lights, right? Which is this directional light. It's interactable. See, if I select this directional light, if I change the rotation, see if I change the rotation, it's gonna change the time of the day. So it'll be really cool if you can create some interactions. For example, next class, I'm going to show you how to create a realistic wind, realistic tree, grass, landscape, mountains. Okay, so if you want to present your house, your dream house in a real landscape, and you want to make a video, for example, a 12 hours video, of the whole day, how the house looks like in this whole room. Basically, you can set the rotation of the direction light. You know, for 180 degree, you're gonna take 12 hours to rotate it. So you're gonna slowly rotate and you're gonna record this whole video. So it's gonna be a 1 day presentation of your house in the real environment. Okay. So this light is interactable. See, if you rotate it, you're gonna also change the skybox. But sometimes you want to create a horror game. Okay. And also you want to add a lights inside of the house, right? You want to add a lights inside of the house. For example, um if I go revisit the house, if I get rid of the doors, I disable the doors, and also I disable the windows. So now you can see that I'm able to see inside of the house. All right. So what about I want to create a manually create a lights, for example, lights, ceiling lights, task lights, those lights. How can I do that? Okay. So then I will first disable this directional light. As I disable the directional light, the skybox is still there. It's not realistic, but we're going to fix that. Before that, we want to manually create lights. To create a lights in Unity is very simple. So you need to decide where to create a lights. So if I want to create a lights around the house, you're gonna select the house. Okay, select the house itself, press F key. So you're gonna focus your view on the house. Then you're gonna go to tool menu game object and light. So there are all different types of lights you can create. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you one and you can explore the next. Okay, so for example, first I'm gonna create a point light. For example, here has a candle. Okay, so I'm gonna create a point light and I'm gonna say candle or anything you want, or task light or any light. Okay, and I place it around the ceiling. And here you can change the range. So right now it's a 10, basically it illuminate 10 meters away. If you want it only illuminate a specific area, just drop down the value. And you can also change the intensity. You can also change the color. For example, yellowish color, if this is a light. Very easy, right? Very straightforward. So this is the point light. And let's see, outside on the balcony, I want another type of light. So I go to game object and light, and this time I want a spotlight. So this spotlight, I'm gonna insert it on the roof, actually down below here. Okay, insert it here, and I'm gonna illuminate. So you're gonna illuminate the balcony. Do you see that? It's illuminated there. Okay, so if I want to expand the area, I'm gonna just change the spot angle. See, if you just change the spot angle, and you can also change the range. You can change the range. So this is too low. You want to be able to reach the floor. Okay, so here we go. And change the intensity if you want, and change the color again. And here's one more setting. Do you notice that right now, the light doesn't cast any shadow? So there's one setting, shadow type. By default, is no shadow. So if you change it to hard shadow, you're going to add hard shadow. It's not that realistic, but it make your computer performs better. However, if you want really realistic shadow, just to keep soft shadow. So you're going to show the soft shadow. Same thing for the other lights I just created. So if you do soft shadow, then you're going to create a shadow for any object you have in the scene. Okay, so now let's talk about the skybox. We want to disable it, right? So to disable the skybox and just use the lights we have created, let's say if this is a horror scene, we're gonna go to tool menu window, go to rendering, go to lighting, and here you should find environment. Okay, so we're going to change a lot of settings. So first is the skybox material. So by default is using the skybox material. We're going to just use a long. Okay, so scroll up, all the way up, you should find a long. So if you select a long, you're going to disable it. So now do you see that the sky has been grayed out? Okay, and I can also check from the game view. So this is the game view. So the skybox is not there now. And then next step is a sound source. We can also make it as a long, which is nothing. And real-time shadow color, we can also make it as a blue, black color. And the environment lighting, instead of skybox, change it as a color and color as black. Okay, so now environment reflection, we can also use custom and we don't set anything there. So it's gonna be purely black. See, my model is purely black. If I visit the game view, this is where is it? First person controller. Yeah, first person controller. Okay, so if I start a game, okay, so the whole environment is disappeared. So I can only see the lights that I created. Okay, and then let's see what else we can change. We have lighting setting, none, yes. Environment, real-time light map, big light map. Color, ambient color as black. Yes. Directional light, soft shadow. Okay, so that's all of it. So now if you test play the game, uh, your model will be purely black and see. So you probably will have to add more lights. So here we can uh create, for example, a manually create a directional light. So for example, if we want to use this one as the moonlight, so I place it up, okay, and I change the color as blue color, a little bit grayed out blue color, and intensity lower it down. So now in the game view, okay, so this is the moonlight, and then here's the inside lighting. Okay. And as you can see for the skybox, we only have 2 minutes left. But for the skybox, what you can do is you can either create a skybox in Maya or you can do it here inside of Unity. Okay. For example, if I create it in Maya, all I have to do is, for example, I go to polygon primitive and a sphere. And let's say for this sphere, I rename it as skybox. Okay, but because the face is inside out, so we just have to flip the face. We want the outer face to facing inward. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, mesh display, reverse. So basically the face has been reversed. So now if I go to object mode, select it, and file, and export selection, and export it to, for example, desktop, and export it as a either FBX or OBJ file works, but let's export as FBX export. So Skybox. Okay, so now the Skybox is on desktop. Here we go. So now I'm gonna just bring it into Unity. Um, bring it in here and drop it into the scene. Okay, so here we go. Drop it into the scene and make it really big. Here, make it really big, really big. All right. So now if you start the game, so here we go. Purely black. All right. So that's the whole workflow. And if you follow this video, you should be able to do your second project without any issue. Okay. So I'm gonna post a link for the recordings. And we will have one more lesson. So next lesson, we will create a realistic landscape. So here, let me just show you a preview. Just 1 more minute. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna create a realist environment. You're gonna also explore physics and create the wind for the environment. Okay, then I'm gonna see you next class.